Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Alex Beyond Thoughts podcast. Thank you for joining me. It is a wonderful sunny Friday evening in England. It has been the most rainy, miserable English summer ever until the last 2 days, and I have found the will to live again, basically. um, yeah, I'm exaggerating, but it's been really nice. And I just finished work for the day because also work a part-time, well, a full-time job as a part of my life right now, for the next 6 months. So I've just finished that. And I'm here ready to record. I had a really good conversation with my mentor over the sort of last 2 days. We're on different time zones, so like our conversations kind of get stretched a little bit, but it really does give you some good time to process and think through and bring new thoughts to when you actually like reply in Voxer. So yeah, I've been having good conversations with her, and we kind of just broached onto the topic of shame and messaging in the industry that is promoting shame. And she really sort of prompted me to bring to the podcast the things that I was talking to her about in our Voxer messages. So, although I won't obviously word for word say exactly what we speak about in Voxer, I do really want to bring in this conversation. Um, so yeah, let's just drive. Let's dive straight into it. The conversation I'm wanting to talk about today is pretty centered around messaging in the industry, talking on stories, talking on podcasts, talking on pretty much any content that clients and potential clients and just observers online view that's promoting this kind of like underlying tone of shame in people's content. So I'm talking about when people are selling, when people are talking about the offers they've got going on, when people are talking about the kind of offers they're joining themselves, when people are talking about how other people choose to move in their life and what kind of moves they choose to make when they're in our industry, right? And operating in and around self development and personal development and business development and all these kind of things. Okay. So, my thing right now is that I'm feeling this real undercurrent in our industry and in my industry about whether you should be in these kind of containers or whether you shouldn't be. And if you're not in them, why aren't you in them? And well, if you're not in my container specifically, then what are you doing? Because this is the only place that you're going to be able to get what you need. Everyone else out there doesn't know things as well as me, and da 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 da. And I'm all for people having their zone of genius and people having like a real set of expertise. I think that's only a good thing. But when you position yourself and you position your products and you position your media in a space that only and I'm saying this all as like a hypothetical, only I can do this thing for you, the client, in the way that I do it, that's the only way you're going to get results, right? And I understand some of these points that people will probably automatically come back to me with, that people have to have their own discernment. Absolutely. People should have discernment. People should know themselves with their own emotional intelligence what's for them and what's not. It's not my job, kind of thing. Okay, I can see your point, but I think that's a scapegoat. What's another thing people might say? Well, the responsibility is on the client for whatever it is they choose to invest in for themselves. You can't make decisions for them. You can't think for them. Whatever they choose to get in on or not get on is their entire responsibility. And I really do see the point. I really do see the reason why people make these points and why they think that's kind of where the conversation ends. But I'm here to say I don't think it is. I don't think that's where the conversation ends. I think that's then kind of passing an element of blame onto your clients, and it's passing an element of like shame onto your clients for not having the same ideas or the same emotional intelligence or the same self-awareness or the same like level of radical responsibility that you do. And I think as teachers and as educators and as people positioning ourselves as leaders in the space, by passing off that blame and saying, well, it's not my responsibility to do the thinking for you, you actually are just then shaming your client for not thinking of something you may have thought of yourself. And to a certain extent, yes, people need to do their own level of research. People need to become as educated as possible in order to be operating as an adult with money. I fully understand that. But for a lot of people joining these spaces, just because they have the money does not mean they are educated enough, or they are educated enough and they don't really get filtered out of your specific products, services, offers because of the way you're positioning your own marketing, positioning your messaging. You might see where I'm going with this already, but I'm going to try and make it as clear as possible because when I said it before, I think I kind of like got it a bit convoluted, but I'll try and be as clear as I can. So, say Coach A, Coach Anna, Coach Allison, whoever, she's talking about her offer. She is a multi six figure coach. She's a leader in her industry. She really knows what she's talking about on, let's say, business coaching. She really positions herself on branding and she really positions herself on creating a confident voice through your copywriting, right? Those are her three specialities. She's in business and mindset coaching. Let's go with that because that's the industry I know well enough. So, in Alison's marketing, she talks as if you're kind of not doing the right thing if you aren't getting in her offers. You are missing out on something definitely if you don't buy in this instant. You maybe won't get as far as you would in business unless you were working with her, or you definitely wouldn't do it as fast, or you definitely wouldn't do it as well. Um, she's talking about how other people in the industry don't do it as well as her. She's talking about how no one in the industry thinks or talks about this specific element of her brand strategy that she offers her clients. She's talking about how other people in the industry copy her offers because they know she's so good. She's talking about how when clients come to her saying that they want a refund because they didn't get what they needed out of her container, she's saying that that's completely on them and she's not entertaining it at all. And to a certain extent, absolutely, like people can just be cheeky and ask for whatever they feel like without any actual backing or standing to what it is they're saying that was wrong with your container. And I don't think you should refund people when you've given your time, money, like your time invested your money and effort into creating your content. No, I don't think you should just immediately give a refund. But what there is an issue with, for so say, with a client coming back to Alison and saying, actually, I really didn't get a lot out of this container. I don't really know what I'm supposed to do next. And I feel really lost in your mastermind. Let's go with the mastermind because it's a high level paying offer. The client, let's call her Becky, A and B, Alison and Becky. Becky comes to Alison and says, I really didn't get enough out of your mastermind. I don't really understand what I'm supposed to do next. Everything you kind of promised in my transformation and in my offer that I signed on with, knowing that this is a possibility within our container, I've not really done any of this. Like, what can I do? And for some people in the industry, the response seems to be that that's completely the client's fault. That is nothing to do with the coach, it's nothing to do with the container. It's just that person either doesn't have enough emotional intelligence, they don't work hard enough to execute on what the coach has offered, they aren't trying X, Y, and Z in order to be able to execute what they've positioned in their offer. They just aren't smart enough. I don't know. Like there's a few excuses floating around about why it's the client's fault if they don't get anything out of the container, and why some people get amazing things out of a container, but other people never do anything with it, and that's positioned as the client's fault. And yes, I get the element that some people take your container, they just don't really feel like doing anything with it. They talk themselves out of it. They let their fears get in the way. They let whatever it is stop them from executing and becoming successful with the tools you've given them. I fully understand that. But there are also elements in this industry where actually maybe your offer isn't that clear. maybe your plan of action doesn't work for everyone. Maybe whoever it is, Becky, that came to Alison and said, "Listen, this didn't work for me, and I'm really lost, and I don't know what to do next." Maybe she's not looking for a refund, or she's not looking for something free. She's actually looking for more guidance. And where we need to have a level of discernment as coaches with this is not just to say, "Okay, well, if you need more help, pay me more money and jump into one of my one-to-one containers, and you you dash the cash, I'll help you out." That seems a bit irresponsible to me. That seems very, I don't really know what the right word is here, but it doesn't seem very respectful of your clients who have put their time and energy and money and trusted you to work with, especially in high level containers. I mean, if someone has paid like £20 to join a container that was pretty much just an introduction, and they say, "I have no idea what to do next." Well, yeah, have a bit of get up and go and start researching some things yourself and find the next place to go. Yeah, I understand that. But if I'm paying 5, 6, 7K plus to jump into your mastermind and I'm really lost and really stuck and I come to you for help, the immediate answer does not need to be jump into my one-to-one container and we can sort this out. That just seems quite disrespectful to the client. It seems quite disrespectful to your own craft, because we're in this industry to help people. We're in this industry to give people transformations. We're in this industry to improve people's lives and their quality of life. And it seems a bit irresponsible to me for us to say, or for anyone to say, to be honest, like, "Oh, well, if you didn't get it this time, then pay me more and we'll sort it out next time." And I'm not saying that anyone does this, but this is the kind of marketing and messaging that's kind of going on in the industry right now, and it really gives me these vibes. And I'm probably sure, to be honest, that someone has said this somewhere, and that doesn't mean it impacts the whole industry, and it doesn't mean it represents the whole industry, but there really is a level of shame and blame coming about for the clients that we're supposed to be transforming and supporting and helping and uplifting. And when thinking about messaging like this and thinking about the Beckys of the world who really just are struggling in their containers that they've paid a lot of money for and that they're really excited about and that they want to get a transformation for, they're struggling and they need extra help. And it's actually okay to ask the coach that you've paid to work with to give you some extra support in the way that you need to learn from them. I don't think that's too far fetched to ask for. And maybe I'm saying this as a person who is maybe projecting this, and that could absolutely be true. But from the way I'm viewing it right now, and I'm happy for someone to contradict me and come back with their own thoughts on this, is that actually when we're trying to provide someone a transformation and they need that little bit of extra support to get them there, or to re-explain something, or to help them transition through that thing a little bit more, why should they then have to pay you more or justify why they should have your help? Or do you know what I'm saying? Like, it seems very transactional right now. You give me money, or you give me time and energy in your capacity, and I might give you, oh no, that's actually quite ungenerous. And a coach might say, "Okay, now I'll offer you my products and services because you've already paid me this money." I think there needs to just be a bit more compassion and a bit more focus on the actual humans that are your clients, because even prospective clients, like, especially when you're trying to sign on with a high level coach because you want a high level transformation, some people just don't have the emotional intelligence and the self awareness and the safety within themselves at that current point in time to be able to access the same kind of vocabulary as you, to have the same kind of communication as you. And it's within your rights for sure to say, "Actually, I don't want to work with people that don't have that." That's fully within your rights, but you also need to communicate that within your marketing and within your messaging, that your containers, your offers, your Instagram space, your TikTok space, your podcast space is only and exclusively for people who have that kind of emotional intelligence and that kind of self awareness. And you need to make it clear that you don't actually work with people who aren't at this specific level in their emotional intelligence journey, because someone might have 10 grand to drop on containers and to drop on private coaching, but none of the foundational tools needed to exist in a container at that level. Just because you have the money doesn't mean you have the skills required to communicate at the kind of level and effectiveness that some coaches operate at. And that's okay because everyone gets to have their journey. You get to be a high level coach only talking in your high level communication. And that's perfect for you because some people need that. Some people are at that level and they don't want to go backwards and they want to be stretched and transformed and challenged. But other people who may have the money and not really the discernment and awareness to decipher that from your messaging that may or may not be clear, they are then existing in these containers, having spent a lot of time and money and energy trying to be in this space, finding themselves shamed and rejected and unable to speak up because of the kind of environment we're creating in the coaching industry right now. And I might be completely off base. Like, I'm so open to someone telling me I'm completely wrong and I've got the wrong side of the stick and I'm projecting and whatever. I'm so open to hear that because I'd love to hear someone else's thoughts on this. But for right now, for me, I think as coaches, as industry leaders, as people responsible for the transformations of our clients because they are investing in us and our services, I think we do have to take back a level of responsibility for the outcomes of our clients. It's all good and well to say, actually, I'm just here to facilitate, you're there to do the action. Absolutely. But alongside that, in the way you're facilitating, you need to make sure through applications, through communicating with clients before they actually fully invest in you, by making clear in your messaging and your marketing who this is specifically for, and even through your pricing, who this is specifically for. That is where we start to filter out people that may not succeed well in our containers. And it's okay to leave money on the table if this person is not, if Becky is not going to be an ideal client for Alison and she's not going to keep up with her container and she's not going to understand everything that's going on, and she finds that Alison finds that Becky might actually not do as well as she could do in her mastermind, but if she switched to one or she switched to a mini mind, actually she would thrive in that. She would learn a lot. She would build the foundational skills needed to enter into the mastermind at a level playing field. These are the kind of things we have to take back responsibility for as coaches, because sometimes our clients don't know how to do that for themselves. Sometimes people think they're further ahead than they are, and it is actually our responsibility to say yes or no to that, because we have a responsibility to our clients' transformation and their success and their progress, because actually they're investing in us and they're trusting us to be able to tell them that. And part of that is holding your own insecurities, part of that is holding honesty with your client and directness, and part of that is actually being willing to leave money on the table and say, I'm really not the coach for you. I don't have the kind of resources you need. I don't have the kind of skills that you require. I don't have the kind of time you need for me to really dissect things with you. Here's another coach that I think would be perfect for you. Or here's another container that I think might suit you better. Or here's a podcast, or here's a book that would actually give you the foundational skills for a much cheaper price, or whatever it is, even if the client isn't fussed about money. Here's the resources that I think would suit you much better for now, and come back to me when you're ready for this, this, and this, because that's what my containers are about. Hopefully, I'm making this clear, but these are the kind of things that I think we have to take responsibility for as coaches, because just saying, well, it's up to the client's discernment, it's up to the client's emotional intelligence, it's up to their what's the word? I've lost it now. It's up to them, the client, to assess that for themselves. Yeah, all great saying that, but actually, where can you be supporting them more? Where can you be providing them with the tools and the knowledge, and making sure your messaging reaches them properly, and making sure your marketing is actually for your ideal client, and making sure you're filtering out the people that may not actually be perfect for your services, and pointing them in the direction that means that they would be in the future. I just think we're kind of getting lost in the sauce a bit with the amount of money people are making and the kind of transformations certain people are seeing, and well, not even certain people, the kind of transformations a lot of people are seeing, and the kind of shame and blame that are being permeated through like the really undercurrent levels of messaging and marketing and content right now. I hope I made that clear, but that's basically my thoughts right now. And like I said, 3 or 4 times already. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you feel really contradictory to this, I'm so happy for you to message me. I'm so happy to jump on a podcast episode with you. So if you're a coach, if you're someone in the industry, if you're even in another industry and you find this is prevalent in your industry, I would love to talk to you about it. So, yeah, if anyone wants to message me on Instagram or whatever, I'm so down to have a conversation about this and either get my mind changed or agree or disagree. I'd love to hear from you. So, yeah, that has been today's episode of the Alex Beyond Thoughts podcast. I think this is episode 14. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to this point, guys. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.